Howdy everyone in YouTube land. I think I'm going to work on something a little different today. Something not commonly seen on my channel. And that is a tube radio. This is a Sentinel model 338. So I'm trying to remember the details on this because I took the chassis out already. We'll get to that in a minute. I'm trying to remember the details on this because I probably picked this radio up, I don't know, 12 years ago, and it's just kind of been sitting in limbo. Um, I'm trying to recall everything I did to the radio. I don't remember exactly what I did, but as far as I recall, and here's the chassis. I remember the output tube had a short in it, and because I remember when I plugged it in, it had no audio, and the output tube had a short in it. So I just kind of left it alone. I ordered a new output tube and replaced it. All the other tubes are original Sentinel rebadged tubes. So this thing probably hasn't seen a whole lot of use. But I know that tube was bad. So it's been replaced. And outside of that, it seems like it's in relatively good shape. The dial cord, all that stuff moves. There's no restriction in it. Pot seems to be clean and free and clear. And then there's the top side. There's the two IF cans. And the speaker starting to turn into a cadmium powder puff. But it's in actually relatively good shape. So, yeah, it's not bad. I mean, no cone rubbage. All that looks good. I figured I'd go ahead and shoot a YouTube video of this because I just started working on it. I cut this wire and I was going to start pulling these caps out and changing them. But we got the safety capacitor here, which is the death cap. It's connected to one side of the line and into ground, so that's got to go. This capacitor here is going to go. This thing is so simple, we might as well just recap it and see what happens. So that's going to go. I'm going to use a safety capacitor here. This one's going to go, and this one's going to go. Then this looks like a double electrolytic, maybe triple. No, it's a double because I see the black wire. Yeah, the black wire, there's a red wire, and then there's a yellow wire. So there's two filter capacitors in there. This one goes here. So, and this is going to ground. So I'm thinking about just doing a standard old radial leaded capacitor between here and ground, either over here, or I'm going to solder directly to the chassis next to it. We'll have to see. There's a yellow wire. I got to follow it back. I think it is the one that comes all the way over here. So this will get a capacitor from here to ground as well. So we'll do that. Well, then there's enough room I can probably just lay it here. And then I'm going to check these resistors if they're out of tolerance. And then we're going to spray the pot. So we're going to do all that fun stuff. So anyways, all of the other parts to this thing, I took it apart long time ago. And I made sure to keep all the parts in the bag so they were not lost. Because the last thing I wanted to happen is to lose all these knobs and all that fun stuff. So all of that is there, and I want to set it out of the way. It's got the back cover, and the antenna coil is part of that, so can't lose that. Alright, so it's been a while since I've worked on tube gear, so I'm going to need some refreshers on this one. I got to see if my soldering equipment is going to be powerful enough to do this. Also, these sockets are kind of known to break when you try to fight them, and these leads are all wrapped up in there, but I'm curious if the Heiko will actually work. We'll clean the tip. Yeah, the tip's clean. Retin it. Good. I'm curious if it will actually suck the solder out of that. It does. Actually quite well, I might add. So I can actually pull that out. All right, let's see. Let's hit this one up. Yeah, does a pretty good job with that, actually. So that will allow me to get the capacitor dresses out without destroying the tube socket. I want to see if I can't, because there's some solder on the back side. Yep, alright. So, that means in theory, it's just kind of like they took it and they just wrapped it around here. So what I want to do, trying to do this without breaking the socket. So the problem is I need both hands to do this. So with my needle nose pliers, a pokier to try to get in there, my Heiko, it made quick work of that. I was able to pull the lead out and this lead completely out from the two socket pins without hurting the socket pins. So the next thing I want to do is need to see if, alright, I need to see if I can actually get that cap out from that tab. What I do not know is if the desoldering gun is going to be powerful enough to heat this blob. Actually, it is. Yeah, oh, I see what they did. They took the cap lead, they hooked it around and wrapped it right back up into that power switch. So I think what I want to do there is I'm going to leave well enough alone. Well, maybe. We'll see. I'll have to play that one by ear. It needs to come off anyways because I have to get to the electrolytic here. So I think what we're going to do, will it solder? Maybe. It sure does. Alright. Okay, that hole's cleared. So that means I should be able to get this guy completely out of here. And the way to do that is to hook it this way. Trying to do this single-handedly. So we will take that guy out. Yeah, it's not wanting to come out. Again, I need both hands. I gotta heat that pin and heat this up at the same time, or move it at the same time. So 1 minute. So what I did was I just cut the cap out and I left that one alone on purpose because I followed it. I was able to loosen it. That runs all the way up through into this eyelet and all the way around to the ground spot of the volume potentiometer. So I just left it alone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just resolder that, leave it alone. But now I got the solder out of the eyelet, I can go ahead and get this out of here so I know where it goes. Also, I'm going to cut this yellow wire right here. That way it's out of my way, and I think that wire snakes all the way around, and it does. So I can just pull that out. So we know we need a capacitor here as well. Not a big deal. And we need one there as well. So here to ground, there's a tab right there. Convenient. I could solder right there. I can do the same thing over here. I can probably just, yeah, we'll see. We'll have to play that one by ear. Might be able to lay the capacitor in here and just, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get this out of the way and get this wire out of that eyelet, which is fairly straightforward. Alrighty then, so I was able to get the ground wire out for this electrolytic, and this electrolytic is a, what is it, 50 at 150 volts. So I can replace these with a 47 because that's going to be the closest. I can either go 47 or 68. It makes more sense to stay at 47. So we're going to do 47. I got to look at my stash and see what I have. The other thing too is it revealed a capacitor hidden below it. And that one, what is that one? That one is stuck to the metal. There we go. 0.01 at 200 volts. So I can, let's see, where does it go? It goes middle the potentiometer up to the tube. So that's likely the coupling cap for the audio power amp. So yeah, trying to do this with one hand is fun. I kind of wish I had a tripod set up here so you can just kind of see me go along with this, but it's been so long since I worked on these. Yeah, I need the right tools for this job. Woohoo, that thing's still hot. Duh. Good job sticking your finger on a hot terminal, dingus. I can't really get in there that well. Yeah. What I can do, though, is I can get the other side out at least. It should be straightforward because alright. And again, let me put the camera down. Okay, I got the capacitor out now. I slid off the protective sheathing that was here and that was in that pot, and then I was able to snake that out. And you need both hands because these are wrapped all the way around, so you have to hold the one while you're untwisting. So I can't do this on camera, but I was able to get this out. And we said this was a 0.01 at 200 volts. So I gotta look through my stash and see if I have something, and then we'll go ahead and change that. While I'm this far, I did pull out the meter and went through these resistors. This resistor here, which is a 22K, this one's dead on. This one's reading a little bit high, and this one is reading like 200K, so it's got to go. That one's okay as well. This one's kind of hard to read in circuit, so we'll have to do some figuring with the resistors. Alright, so I went ahead and pulled the caps I need. I need a, let's see, this is a .01, which is a 103 there. I need a .01. I gotta have a .01 here, a .01 there, and a .05 here. So there's my .01 for over here. I'm just gonna use an axial lead. I want to put there, so that will go there. And then I'm going to use an orange or red drop .01, which is these guys here. I think that's what these are. Yeah, .01. I'm going to put that here because if you follow these, there is only the solder connection there and here. That's it. So I can run this red drop right across here and eliminate this whole thing. So the red drop will go there. We're going to have the other red drop, which is a .047, will go here because this is just ground. So I can solder it between here and then over to this lug over there and then just bypass that whole thing. So those two are that. Then we have that one I said earlier, and then there's my electrolytics. These are just honcoidal specials, but for this application they'll work just fine. So there we go. And then I have this is my safety capacitor. This is a .02 instead of a .05, but it should work, I hope. That's what we're going to use anyways. So, okie dokie, we're going to move on and start getting these caps out of here and get everything dressed up. Alrighty then, so I got all the new capacitors installed. I have the film cap over here, and yeah, could have done something about that, but there's not in the way of anything and nothing's going to be there, so I think that's going to be alright. All the leads are folded into place. The only thing I haven't done yet was change this resistor, but I want to see how it performs before I do that. I replaced this wax cap there with the red drop, and I put the original lead dressing back on it to protect it from getting shorted. This one was a little dodgy to get in there because I had to wrap these two leads together and then wrap it around here on this grounding stake there. So this is solid, this is solid. Safety capacitors installed exactly the same way as it was originally, wrapped around, soldered in place. The power cord's wrapped around and resoldered, and it's also grounded over here. The one thing I don't like about this, but I can't do a whole lot about it, is this electrolytic here. I soldered it, wrapped it around, soldered it there, put the original lead dressing on it, but then I had no place to run the ground. I could have wrapped the ground wire around and done it this way, but I just grounded it straight to the chassis and soldered it down. So hopefully that's not going to cause a problem. I had to make sure it's not getting too close to here. This is ground anyway, so I think that is probably going to do it. I haven't tried to turn it on yet, so yeah, let's turn this thing on. I want to exercise a word of caution before we just plug it in. You're supposed to have a dim bulb tester and some other fancy stuff like that when you're working on tube gear. I don't have any of that right now because I normally don't work on tube gear. So this is just not something I have on hand at the moment. Maybe later if I work on more of this stuff. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and just plug this in. It may not pick anything up because I don't have the antenna plugged in, but man, this is always the pucker your butthole moment. So let's plug the power in. Power is plugged in. Let's turn the power on. I have filament glowage. I want to get really close to this power cord in case things go boom. Well, I'm not getting much. But again, I don't have the antenna hooked up. So let's try this again. I'm getting some hiss from the speaker. So let me get the... Yeah, let's turn the power off. Let's get an antenna hooked up here. Let's get the original antenna hooked up. That's a good sign. It's trying to live. Yeah. Alright, let's get the antenna hooked up here. Preferably without damaging anything. Alright, there's the beautiful antenna. Let's see here. Try to figure out how to do this. So this one goes here, I think. And then that one goes. Let's get this plugged in. Alright. Try again. Oh. See if we get any activity at all. Whoa. Noise. Got a little something.
I took French classes. I even took Latin. Probably the last year I think they taught that at one of my 5 high schools in Meadowdale at the time.
It's awesome. Private fireplace.
It's really good. And you need what's going to... What the American experience is or ought to be.
Right, and this, we could probably spend a whole hour on the question of information ecosystems and how the media...
Stand on the perimeter
and shoot threes.
and I think that's one of their problems, Rob. I do think that's one of their problems. Yes, because you know this. I mean, we saw it with Jordan and Kobe. They didn't take threes, but they went to more jump shots, right? As you get older, you don't drive as much. And now in today's game, right, you're going to take threes. That's just...
If you're going to shoot from the perimeter, you might as well be...
All right, well,
And so...
let's get everything all cleaned up and get this thing put back together. Because it seems to be working properly. Well, maybe I'd do an alignment. I'm not sure yet. It doesn't sound like it really needs one. But we'll see.
Virtually every game he played. I mean...
And in fact, are you to finish?
Oh, as you can tell from the previous clip, when I tap on these IF cans, the audio goes in and out, and I've noticed it wants to drift back and forth and cut in and out naturally anyways. Well, that is most likely caused by a phenomenon known as silver mica disease. So inside these IF cans are little wafer capacitors just like this. They're mica. They've got like a silver plate and a mica insulator and another silver plate. Well, the silver starts to migrate on the plates, and then it creates an intermittent short somehow, and it makes it real noisy, and it causes the tuning to drift off, and yeah, it's a nightmare, and it's age related. So the only way to fix that is these cans have to come out, and then the capacitors have to get replaced inside the cans with standard capacitors. When I say standard, I mean like NP0 class ceramic or another replacement mica capacitors. They're typically with AM radio 100 PF, but not exactly certain on that. So what I have to do is I have to pull the wires and stuff off the lugs and get the cans out, and I got to measure the capacitance of the mica wafers in there and see if they're in the 100 PF range. And if they are, I have to order replacement capacitors, replace them, get it back together, and then I got to do an alignment. Yeah, that's not exactly what I had in mind for this little radio, but it is what it is. So let's get the cans out of the radio so we can take a look at them, and then we can do a measurement of the value. All right, after a lot of battling and swear words later, I got the IF cans out. So this is the rear. It's marked in the rear because that's the one that faces the rear. And I also marked the bottom so I knew which tin went on which one and where the position goes. So that this arrow points towards the front, and I have it rear, so we know this one goes right there. Same thing here. It goes the same way, it goes in there, but I also only did one mark instead of two marks. That way I know which can goes where. I took the power cord out to get it out of my way, but there they all are. So yeah, that was pain. I had to move all my parts back over there. So okay, so now I still have to order the actual capacitors that will go in here, but what I do want to do in this part 1 video is I want to take these apart and see what they are inside and what the capacitors actually are, the values. Alright, so I removed one of them out of the can. I'm pretty sure these are the same. Yeah, they are. So the one value is going to be the same for all 4 of them. But inside this metal can is a dual tuned coil. There's a slug on the top and then there's a slug on the bottom for adjustment. But what we need to pay attention to is right down in here, in between the phenolic layers. You can just see it. And if I shine a little light on the situation, you see that little metallic looking wafer thing in there? That is the mica capacitor. It's those that go bad and cause all of these problems. This guy right here. So I've got to basically measure this, and the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to remove these wires, and I'm going to be super careful not to break the wire because they're very fine. So I'm going to remove the wires, and I'm going to measure the capacitance across these 2 pins so I can figure out what they are. And then the next thing I got to do is I got to figure out how to remove all of that without taking this apart, because I can't get between here because it's crimped. So yeah, I still need to figure that out, but let's measure that value first. So I very carefully got the 2 wires off on one side without breaking them. They're very thin, so you have to be very careful. So I have the meter out, and I'm going to try to do this single-handedly, but that side's 130 picofarad. This side is 127.9 picofarad. So I'm going to guess, since their 2 sides are usually equal, not always, but in this case you can kind of tell they are, they're probably 130 picofarads per section. So 100 PF would probably work if I would have just ordered those, but the problem is I'd have to retune it and it may not work right. So I know that this one is 130 picofarad or 125 picofarad per side, so somewhere in there. So those are the ones I'm going to have to order, but I don't have those parts right now, so I can't go any further at this point. So I'm going to have to order the capacitors and then realign this thing. But for now, that'll wrap up part 1 of this video. So if you have a comment, please feel free to leave one in the description below, and check out my Discord server link that's in the description as well. Thank you for watching, and until next time.